Hey guys, some of you have been asking me for tips and information about rigging up for rockfish. Now, just a reminder, you have to check your regulations in Southern California because rock fishing in some areas, most of California, ends the end of December and doesn't start till sometime in March, or some years it's even the first week of April. Up in Northern Cal, it starts later and you have to check regulations. It might be as late as June or May there. So again, please check your regulations before you go fishing for rockfish. The take, you need to know, the limits on the fish, size limits and all that. But as far as rigs, I just want to talk a couple of rigs with you. A lot of you have been asking, what do I like to use and what do I suggest? So in California, you can only use 2 hooks this coming season. Now 2 hooks can mean 2 actual fishing hooks, or it could mean 2 bucktails that have a hook on each one of them. So it doesn't really matter. You can use 2 baits in the water at one time with the sinker on the bottom. So I recommend you use a double dropper loop rig. So you have the weight on the very bottom and then 2 loops with your bait in there. Now a lot of you like to just use a regular hook like this with a strip of squid or a piece of mackerel, and that'll work. But the problem with that is there's so many small fish down there that they're gonna pick away and take your bait off. And if you're going all the way down 200-300 feet, maybe even deeper with the new regulations, depending where you're fishing, you don't want to drop all the way down 300 feet and then not catch anything because there's no bait. It came off your hook. So that's why I like using a bucktail. I like to put 2 bucktails, normally 1 ounce or ½ ounce like these, and spread them far enough apart so if you catch a big fish here, you still have a shot at catching a big fish here. So normally about 2 feet apart. Put them in dropper loop rigs with the sinker on the bottom. And what's sweet about this rig is as this jig is laying down there on the bottom, or if you're moving it around, that bucktail is going to pulsate in the current and in the water, and you're still going to catch fish even if the fish take the bait off it. Lots of times I'll test this method and just drop 2 bucktails down with no bait on it at all, no squid, no mackerel, no nothing. Just drop them down, bounce them off the bottom, and I'll catch fish. So that's why I really like fishing with the bucktail instead of just a straight hook, because once the bait comes off this, you're not going to get bit. But with this, just bouncing in the current down there in a double dropper loop rig, you will catch fish. That's a basic rig. Another way too is to use a jig. Now back in the day, we used monster jigs like this in the deep water, which you're not going to be using today. You want to use something like this, an 8 or 10 ounce magic metal jig. Let it go all the way to the bottom, and when you're on the bottom when no more line comes out of the reel, and then you're just gonna grind it up 5 or 6 cranks, stop, and let it suspend, and then just let it flutter back down. The lingcod, the big rockfish, they're sitting down there on those rocks, and sometimes they'll bite it as it's trying to escape from them, and lots of other times they're gonna bite it as it flutters back down right in front of them. So a magic metal jig, glow in the dark, works out really good for rock fishing. These are the basic gears you need. Don't overlook using a bucktail instead of a straight hook. I can't tell you how many more fish I catch because I use a bucktail, and not only for rock fishing, but even like sculpin. Sculpin love bucktails. You put 2 1 ounce bucktails with a big sinker on the bottom in the sculpin areas, you're gonna catch a lot more sculpin. All right, that's today's little video blog. For more tips and information, subscribe right here to my YouTube channel. Leave your comments down below and I'll try to answer them for you. Thanks guys, I'll talk to you all soon.